We cross to Trade Minister Rob Davies live from our Durban studios. Good evening and welcome to you, Minister. If we can start with what the EU trade official was saying today, there's been a barrage of criticism of our handling of these international trade agreements, cutting them. Will you back down?
Well, I think the first point I'd want to make is that I spent quite a few hours discussing with the Trade Commissioner today. We were discussing actually the agricultural market access issues in the Economic Partnership Agreement negotiations. He did not raise and did not communicate with us their views of the new investment protection law. So the first time I hear this is from him. Now, let me just say that we have said repeatedly that we see the need for us to modernize, update, and make more universally applicable our investment protection regime, but that the Constitution of this country provides a very solid and very robust protection for investors. We don't think that there will be any reduction in the levels of protection that are provided for ordinary, significant investors that come in here, bring money in here, create jobs, and engage in ordinary economic activity in this country. The provisions under the Constitution, which are taken over into our investment law, draft investment law, these provisions will allow for absolutely adequate compensation in the event that there is any expropriation, which we're not envisaging, by the way, for many or most of those investments that are taking place.
Minister,
and then the other point that was made about the lack of arbitration,
Minister, can I
in fact, there is an arbitration law in South Africa that would apply.
He did mention his concerns, you say not in the meeting, but definitely in the press conference afterwards. I understand he's mentioned the concerns before, so has Germany, so have several other EU countries. Companies expressed concern after the recent automotive strikes. Given the fragility around foreign direct investment, the concern, should we not be bolstering confidence from our investors, not undermining it right now? They obviously are concerned, Minister.
Well, we are, in fact, doing everything we can to bolster investor confidence. We think that a robust debate and discussion around the investment protection regime which we'll offer is a step in the right direction. We don't actually find that you mentioned after the automotive strikes, there was no move on the part of any of the automotive manufacturers to indicate any withdrawals from South Africa. On the contrary, all of them reaffirmed the fact that they were staying here. And many of them, by the way, come from countries with whom we have no bilateral investment treaties. We don't have one with Japan. We don't have one with the United States, for example. We don't have one with many other countries of the world with whom investments are increasing. India is another example. So I think that what we're doing is putting in place a regime that will apply to everybody. And we are taking account of some of the trends which are emerging out there in the world at large. Many countries around the world are beginning to look at these investment agreements and to try to modernize and update them, and we are part of that trend.
Carl de Gucht said that the protections are lower. If you look at the protections, market value in the case of expropriation, that's gone. You now offer something that's fair. It seems that there's no recourse if conditions change, if investors come here and then regulatory and legal conditions change. Why can't we just give them those assurances that they had before?
Well, I think the thing is that on the first point, that for all practical purposes, fair and equitable for a foreign investor that comes in here, has not been involved in an apartheid transaction, has not been the beneficiary of some illegal land seizure in the apartheid days. Fair and equitable will mean market value because that's what the constitutional principles apply.
So why can't we just say that in a contract with these countries?
Well, we're trying to. We don't have contracts with lots of countries that are increasing their investments. We're introducing a system which will apply to everybody, not just to some. And I think this is what we're talking about. And I was saying earlier on that we are, in fact, under our own arbitration law, we do provide for arbitration as a remedy. But in fact, South Africa has got a very, very high reputation for the robustness of its courts. These principles are safeguarded by a constitution in which those particular clauses are sitting along with the restoration of the death penalty. It would be as easy to restore the death penalty in this country, which is actually constitutionally impossible, as it would be to tamper with those provisions. And I think that for all practical purposes, very robust investment protection is provided for. And I think that we want to have an honest and straightforward dialogue with everybody to build confidence that South Africa intends to offer robust and significant protection to foreign investors from wherever they come, as well as to our domestic investors.
All right, Minister, thank you for responding to those concerns. Trade and Industry Minister Rob Davies live from Durban. It's back to Peter and Vabakshni.